Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette, and thanking you for watching Stay Curious. Today, we've got with us Robert Law, #1 international fan in Dundee, Scotland. And, of course, #2 would be Cliff Watson in Pomona, Australia. And beside him, Gary Allgaier. Gary?
Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, Gary's docening today. Him and Gary and Robert just jibber jabbering all over this place about space. And Gary, you were telling me you learned a lot from
I have
Robert
learned
today.
a lot from Robert. Yes, he did. He's got a quite background in history of over in Europe and their space program.
Yeah. Well, Robert, welcome.
Yeah.
He's of course was at Shuttle Fest. Let me put your little picture up there. We've got image there. There you are here. You've been here since Thursday.
Yeah, I came over on Thursday night, so I was quite tired, so thought I'd be okay for Friday for Space Fest, yeah.
Well, you were in this museum before I even knew it
Yes,
existed.
I've known about, I've been coming here for 35 years now.
35 years.
35 years I've been, this is my 9th flight over to the US, but on a 35-year period, because obviously it's very expensive coming from Scotland. And the first time I came was 1990. I came back in 94. And that's when, I think at that time, the American Space Museum was in the Miracle City shopping mall. And I remember buying space coins. I think of the Mercury program they had a stall that I remember. And at that time, the monuments out here, it was just the Mercury. That's all it was at that point.
Yeah.
I've been interested in space flight since I was 8. And that was before the moon landing. That was 1968.
Well, me too. We're glad to have you here. We're going to give you a little geographic map here. Look at a couple things. We got 2 astronaut birthdays that I didn't bring my sheets on, so I'm just going to pretend I'm a little. The weekend's hitting me now. It's 2 days later, so my brain's not functioning exactly right. But we'll give some love to some of these 3 astronauts. I even forget where they're from. I forgot to print that out. I may go over there and go off camera and print it out here. When you're talking about Ireland there. Three good astronaut birthdays today. We're going to talk a minute with Gary about Apollo 13. We're reliving the death-defying recovery of these beautiful astronauts 55 years ago right now. And of course, because it was over the weekend, STS-1, we didn't want to neglect that. And Robert will tell us where he was when STS-1 was launched. I know exactly where I was. And we'll share that. Gary was probably working on it there. And then we'll hear a little bit about the observatory that Robert is a docent at up in Dundee, Scotland. And then show you some Shuttle Fest pictures that have been on Facebook. And tomorrow we'll have Shuttle Fest pictures wall to wall as Marty and I have a board meeting of our board to attend at 4:30. And we'll see if they like what we did at Shuttle Fest, Marty, or not. So it was great. We had 6 board members there, maybe 7. What's your overview of Shuttle Fest?
I think it's absolutely amazing. Every time I come here, it's always different. And this has been the first time I've been able to come to a space conference in the US. We got to, and it was, of course, about the Hubble Space Telescope. So it's 35 years old this year. And one of the highlights to me was meeting one of the guys, Martin, who worked for Elman Parker, and he
Mark
was,
Mark McClellan.
Yeah, so that was amazing that he was involved in the construction of the Hubble Space Telescope.
Contamination manager.
He was really amazing. I got to meet Eileen Collins again. We have actually met Eileen. She's been in the UK quite a few. And the last time I was out here in 2019 with my friends from Airdrie, we got to meet Eileen at the Space Centre.
I got a picture of you and Eileen together here showing in a minute. And Joe Tanner, John Grunsfeld.
Yes, quite a
lot of fun with Don Thomas.
Don Thomas was, I remember the woodpecker mission, So I videoed I got my first video recorder in 1981 within 2 weeks using the VHS system. Northern. When we were doing that at Airdrie Observatory, Ian Downey, my late friend Ian Downey, had got a video recorder, so it was going to have to be VHS. We could tape space stuff, we could copy tapes and swap tapes.
Yeah.
And
He still does
very,
it now,
yeah, it's
so.
very expensive. That's why I don't drive. Actually, at the time when I would be in Scotland, of course, you don't need to drive because we've got an amazing public transport.
Let's do a geographic lesson here, and I am going to go off
Okay,
camera.
okay.
Marty, you can advance these two as he talks about
Try to point
where
to-
Scotland is in the United Kingdom. Let me
I'll
go in
do-
front of the camera here, Darren.
don't like
Tell us about the UK.
Okay, right. Well, so the UK is like an island. It consists of let's get this right. It consists of two kingdoms, Scotland and England. It consists of Wales, which is a principality, and Northern Ireland, which is a province, and all these things go to make up the United Kingdom. It's because originally Scotland and England were separate countries, but in 1603, King James VI, he also united the kingdoms by inheriting the English throne. So it's also known as Great Britain. Yeah, it's not just England. Some people, it's the UK. And so Scotland's in the northern part, and I stay, it's hard to point to it on this map, but it's right at the, I can't mark, it's right at the top, it's the top part, you know.
Go up, Marty.
I'm originally from Glasgow, which is you'll see it in the map there on the west coast of Scotland. So, and I lived in Hindland. And when I was 3 years old, we moved to Linwood because my dad worked at the car factory at Linwood. And I grew up in Linwood. And that's where I was when I watched the Apollo missions. When I was 11, I got interested in space when I was 8. And it was reading, it was a geography book at the school, and I loved maps, but the back page it had the moon, and it had the moon like a football. And that, like, it just blew my head because this is a separate world. And that was the year before the moon landing.
Well, Robert, there's our Netherlands over my shoulder. Certainly got a lot of friends from there. Marty, I know there's comments, and please share them when you feel appropriate. I don't have any of my devices in front of me. I get my phone in front of me. I guess I can do that as we're talking. I did hoist the birthdays there. Let's look at this beautiful. My question. Number one, Gary, you ever been over there?
No, but my son, I was telling him, our son and his wife rode their bicycles over there last year, from the bottom of England all the way up to the top of Scotland.
Wow.
Put the mic over.
And how long of a drive is anyway? Because these are small countries, they're in proximity to each other. I always wonder, Robert, you frequently go to Ireland or Birmingham, or
London,
is it like
yeah.
an annual trip?
Yeah,
People travel along?
it's quite a distance from Scotland. So some you have to fly in a plane, or you can get the train. I love buses, so I'm a member of the British Astronomical Association. So they have a London meeting every 2 to 3 months, and I get the bus overnight from Dundee down to London, and I spend the whole day in London, and I go to the astronomy meeting, and then I get a bus back at 10 o'clock. And it takes me as long to go from London to Dundee on the bus as it did to come from London to Orlando on the plane.
Okay. Well, I do have some comments here. Cliff Watson. Now, you came in early, mate. He's down there in Wednesday morning in Pomona, Australia, and he succeeds. 35 years to you certainly beats his years of finding us here. But we love you, Cliffy, and we're already working on Shuttlefest 5, folks. So maybe you can make plans to come. Cliff Dave Stangy says hello and welcome, Robert and Gary. Julie Clay says hello, gentlemen. Dave Stangy's watching with Mia today. Hey, Mia. Jupiter's got the red spot. And which one has the rings, Mia? The big rings. That'd be Saturn. All right. And Mitch Rothman, great to see everybody. What a great Shuttlefest 4 it was. Safe travels home, Robert. Good. We wish you that. Bob Mayran, hello to all. He's down in Miami. Dean Babcock. He enjoyed meeting you this weekend. Dean Babcock from Decatur, Illinois. I enjoyed meeting you, Dean, and your wife. At least I think it was his wife, if I'm not mistaken. Hello, Carlton Bailey says hello to all of us here. big shout out to Robert. Great meeting him at Shuttlefest. A true space enthusiast and space hipster, says Carlton Bailey.
Right.
Tommy Usiak's back home in cold as can be in Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Mark Thel, he said he can't wait to see today's show. And Tommy's working on a bunch of photos. And Cliffy says it's 6 a.m. here, watching in bed. And no joke, when we say hello, Robert, I meant to put that picture up when I was doing that. Hello to Robert Law in Dundee, Scotland, enjoying your cocktail at 9 o'clock. I believe, let him know that's true, right? What is your little cocktail of choice for the evening?
Well, yeah, and it's really like, it's probably just a cup of tea, but when I do like a drink, I like a Guinness or, occasional Guinness. I do like a whiskey occasionally.
Well, John, one of our awesome members here, Joseph, Marty Joseph's last name, Joseph Adams. That's how I feel, folks. Just I still haven't caught up on my sleep. Joseph Adams has been here like 30 years,
Right.
and he was around helping out there with you there. Yeah. He was.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. This is a combined night and day shot of the UK,
it's
and of course, way up
right.
at the top is Scotland.
Yeah.
And the Netherlands is right over here, where we had a great time, and hope you spent some time with Daniel de Jong.
Yeah, that guy
the
got
air
to
pilot
meet
there,
him from the Netherlands. I was there with the Scouts in 2019. I'm just back from the Canary Islands. We were out in Lanzarote last week. That looks like the planet Mars. It's like being on Mars. And then I came over here to the Space Coast.
All right, we're gonna show just a tease here. You're gonna talk a little bit about what's this here.
This is I'm involved with 3 observatories. The Coates Observatory in Paisley, where I learnt all about astronomy, and the Airdrie. This is the Airdrie Observatory. This is my favourite observatory. It's a little observatory. I've got a long connection with that. And it's actually on a library. And this is the rear of the library. It doesn't look so spectacular. It's a quite impressive building at the front, except you can't see the dome. It has a 6-inch Cook. It's a 6-inch telescope. We used to think it was a Cook. It's actually something else that is on a Cook mount. And this is where the Airdrie Astronomical Association hold their meetings.
Right.
And we've had 3 Apollo astronauts here.
Is that right?
Yeah, we got Charlie Duke over, and then we got Al Worden, and we got Dick Gordon to come. And I was one of the curators, the honorary curators from 1982 to 1972, and then I did it briefly for a second time from 1999 to 2002 before I got the job at the Mills Observatory in Dundee. And I'll be going down to see everybody in Airdrie a week on Friday. So we're having a Yuri's night, so how can Robert miss that?
Well, good. We're going to look at a couple other
Yes.
this observatory where you sometimes are watching Stay Curious with a crowd of people. There's a docent. Gary, give us your little 411 of Shuttlefest. You were there for.
I wasn't there very long, but it was had a good turnout, and it was enjoyable. I got to meet some people that I haven't seen for a long time.
Shuttle space workers.
Workers like Art Edwards. Haven't seen.
Oh,
him.
Art Edwards. Yes.
Yeah, I worked with him on the arm when we went out to Canada together to Toronto to some meetings.
Oh, did you? Yeah, Art Edwards, African American, that is writing a book about that. He's been on Stay Curious, and we'll have him on very soon to talk about the RMS, Canada's contribution to our beloved shuttle.
Yep.
So, I was very surprised at how. I wasn't surprised. It was just awesome how congenial everybody was, and the astronauts, and just what we want, the fellowship involved in there. So we'll talk more about that here at the end of the program. Dean Babcock, that was his wife, Tracy. Okay, Dean Babcock. No, I'm just teasing, of course. Delightful. Love talking to both of you. You're here in paradise, whether Tracy likes sports or not, space or not. We know that she loved being here at that hotel. Well, let's put our birthday hat on here, and I'm going to update it later on too. A symbol of the astronaut pin there. Happy 74th birthday to, we got 3 birthdays: John Phillips, Marcia Ivins, and Greg Harbaugh. 3 talented NASA astronauts with 12 space flights between them were born on April 15th. John Phillips, shown here, Marcia Ivins there, and Greg Harbaugh there. John, let's go back to him here briefly. John was born in Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Okay. Marcia, I guess go this way. Marcia was born in Baltimore, Maryland. They share the same year. They're both 74. Marcia was just inducted into the Space Hall of Fame last year. I talked to her briefly. She said she likes Stay Curious because we share shuttle stories, and the NASA TV station does not talk about the shuttle as much as she would like to. And then Greg Harbaugh was born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1956. The other Cleveland native of Ohio born is the longest living astronaut. And that would be, of course,
That's Jim Lovell.
yes, who is involved, the commander of this tragedy, near tragedy going on 55 years ago.
I actually met Jim Lovell, yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I met Jim in Maryland. They came to Pontefract a few years back, and Jim was doing a talk, yeah.
Well, that must have been some birthday celebration in Houston during the space shuttle heyday. 3 of NASA's best on income tax day. So everyone's probably talking about filing their taxes and so forth. So I'm not going to go over their missions and such. Everybody knows the big hair of Marcia Ivins. She received the first email from space sent by Jim Adamson, and there's another on his STS-43 space mission there. And I occasionally just had lunch with Jim and a bunch of NASA people, and I love bringing that up to him. So, Mitch says, thanks to Gary, by the way, for showing me around the museum last Friday. And Dean Babcock says, Tracy, his wife, enjoyed it very much. He was excited to have met Joanne Morgan here. And she was a big plus. We'll show pictures of all that. Well, let's get to a couple little space history things going on. Gary, Apollo 13, 1970. Boy, the whole world was transfixed with this here in America. I mean, Grand Central Station ticker tape news was up to date. And Gary, this is going to do a special program Thursday on this. And Gary's going to emphasize what?
Well, I'm going to break it down into 3 sections. The first section will talk about the importance of Apollo 1, Apollo 6, Apollo 8, 9, and 10, how important they were to bring the crew back, because what they learned and experienced during those missions was help them safely bring the astronauts back. Then I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about what really happened to the cryo tank number 2. Did it explode or did it not? And then I'll explain what really happened with that tank. And then the last thing, we'll be talking about some of the key points of what they had to make decisions, and made the correct decisions, because they had a bunch of options. So we'll talk about that.
Well, that's going to be a good one. So I'm on the edge of my seat already with this drama. And make a comment about what a NASA space worker like you, who lived through that, thinks about the movie by Tom Hanks and Ronnie Howard, Apollo 13.
That was a very, very good movie. No doubt about that. He did a pretty good, close caption of what really happened. There's a couple things they may have left out, but you didn't need to have that extra information for the movie. But well done. Some people have seen that thing many, many times. I've only seen it maybe twice in my life, but I may have to go back and review it again.
Yeah, maybe this weekend I'll watch it too. And the drama is being played out live in real time. Apollo 13 real time. fabulous. Have you
That's
found that?
yeah, I
Apollo
actually
11 and 17
oh,
and 13.
right,
Isn't
yep.
that interesting, Robert?
I actually saw the film Apollo 13 when it came out in '95 in the United States because I was with my friend Richard and we went to Washington to visit the Smithsonian and the Space Museum, and I wanted to go, and we went to Arlington because I wanted to visit the Challenger astronaut's grave, and it just so happened coincidentally that Apollo 13 was in the cinemas. So I actually saw it here.
Oh,
I've
okay.
got my VHS tape of it.
VHS tape. We're going to see his VHS here in a minute.
Yeah.
These are some slides that Mr. Jay Honeycutt and myself put together for his brief history of NASA human spaceflight that we
I
premiered.
watched this live. I remember Apollo 13. I was
And,
only 10 when it happened. Do you know what? I've got vivid memories of it.
Marty has done many Grumman reunions over the last 50 years. Several of them have focused on Apollo 13. I'm priming you, Marty, to make a comment or two that you've heard over these things. So, and I'm going to see if you've got a point to make from. We've certainly, Mr. Fred Hayes is a emeritus board member, best friend with our godfather Charlie Mars, who's 89 years old. And I talked to Fred on several times. I would have never even gotten to meet him if not at this museum or with knowing Marty. In fact, I got to say, the last reunion that they had, Fredo goes to me. Marty and Fred and I were in the eating area by ourselves, and the cocktails were in another building at the Radisson. And he said, "Which way do I go, Mark?" And I said, "Well, we'll go around out here." And he says, "Well, I need a steady hand." And I got to put my arm out and escort this beautiful man because he didn't want to use a cane, but he was a little wobbly for some reason there, and people stopped talking to him and stuff like that. Just I mean, I think this guy every day says, "I am blessed to be alive." All right, for the last 55 years. What do you, Marty? Your comment about Apollo 13 and your associations with Mr.
Fred Hayes.
Yes,
Yeah.
not Lovell. Hayes, Fred Hayes,
Yes.
Fredo.
Yeah, Fred happened wasn't Beth Page, prior to actually Lem 1 coming down here. But Fred was the first astronaut that I met. And I was working a console, a GSC console on LTA 1 actually. And Fred came over and asked me what I was doing, and that just, to me that was, first astronaut you meet. I was, I think, 23 years old. I was just so impressed with him, and I've been impressed with Fred ever since. He's quite a person.
In the question and answer sessions I've heard Fred take is he definitely says he wasn't as sick as the movie portrays him to be.
Okay.
All right, that he may have had a mild infection, but he thinks that was played up a little bit. Am I right, Marty?
100%, yeah.
Yeah, that was thing that, but he's not bothered by it.
It was called artistic
Yeah,
license.
he's not bothered by it, but he wanted people to know that
He is.
Was not as sick as he looked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
he supposedly got an infection or
He got a urine tract
infection.
because they weren't drinking enough water.
Yeah.
Because they were restricted.
But they
quite
were
a bit.
cold. He said it was cold.
Oh yeah, he got cold and never could recover from
Yeah,
it.
once they got cold, they never really got warmed up,
Yes.
and I'm sure some of you in the north can. And Dean Carlton says the movie is on Netflix, and Google that stuff on there. So we're gonna relive that with Gary on Thursday, and Wednesday we'll do a quick recap because we got a 4:30 board meeting of Shuttle Fest, so you'll see some more pictures. And there's the beautiful bird on the pad. You can tell it's one because it's got the ring around the top. In this picture on the ET tank painted in white, I had put a puzzle together of that, and that was a tedious puzzle to put together. Gary, you're a space worker looking at this for the first time out on the pad. You'd worked your butt off on it for 5 or 6 years. What was your thoughts?
Well, the most amazing thought that I remember was the night that we were going to roll back for flight, and I was standing out there on the RSS, the rotating service structure, and I was there as we rolled back, and as the shuttle became more and more exposed, to realize that we may launch this big, huge airplane.
Wow. Robert Law, where'd you see STS-1 launch
I saw- well,
44 years
Yes,
ago?
I saw it in Paisley in Scotland, where I used to live. I'm actually involved with the Paisley Heritage. A charity was set up for the town's heritage, and I was 14 stories up. We lived in a multi-story tower block, and I got my first video cassette recorder. I got it within about 2 weeks of Columbia, so that I could record the pictures off the TV, and I watched it live coverage.
Huh. Well, that was something
Um,
else. Marty?
Yeah, Michael Bruno he's asking a question, but it's stated a little bit different anyway. So the whole STS stack just sat on the SRBs.
Yes,
Yes, it did.
yes.
And with 3 attachment points of the shuttle hanging off the external tank. Now, I always thought about that hanging there, you know.
It's cantilevered off, so that's why it kind of leaned a little bit towards, when we had to put the payloads in, it was leaning a little bit towards us when we had to put the payloads in.
We got a 20-ton orbiter, right? 20 tons without the payload,
It's 173,000 pounds.
divided by 2
Too.
is 50 tons.
Yeah.
170,000.
173,000 empty.
Okay,
For the heaviest
55
one.
tons. And I wondered about it, the weight of the shuttle this way. Those SRBs are 20 tons a section. So you got 80 tons on each side, 160 tons of SRB there. Then you got the fuel.
Fuel.
It ain't going nowhere. The franginal bolts are holding down a big 2-4 foot bolt that we've got one here in our museum on there at 8 points on there. So good question there, Michael Bruno. Of course, there's our brave crew, John Young, who's passed away, and Bob Crippen, who's 88 years old. One of the most iconic patches. The real patches are like this insignia. There's 2 different colors of yellow, goes to orange, goes to red, goes to a redder red. There's 4 colors in that tail on the most expensive patches. I've learned that. Okay. Hello, Dwight, Stephen Benecki. Hello, everyone there from Germany. Glad you're finding us, Dwight. And after I catch my breath here in a day or two, we'll get up with you and your lovely wife there. Of course, this was a test vehicle for 4 missions, they said. But you heard Eileen Collins said it was really a test vehicle for 135 missions. Okay. Eileen said that in her talk. And of course, you've got there Ken Mattingly and Hartfeld. Yeah, Hartfeld there. Both have passed on. Did the 4th test. All of them had an ejection seat in there that John Young didn't have much hopes of that ejection seat being worth anything, did he?
No, he didn't. Of course, they couldn't use it while they were still on the solid rocket motors.
Well, that'd be good because it'd be a marshmallow if they did.
Yeah,
Okay, behind the SRBs, but still they could have been a marshmallow behind the SSMEs.
Yeah, that's true. But they like I said, they only used them for 4 flights. Then they de-armed them, but they still used them for.
Yeah, they were actually still in there.
Still in there until they took it back to Palmdale, California for a refit. That's when they removed the ejection seats.
Well, that's a little bit of our history there. I got a few pictures racked up for our guest here, Robert Law from Dundee, Scotland, to talk about. There's your.
Yeah, this is my
That's a
VHS video.
VHS. Show them your T-shirt again. VHS. I'm not sure what that stands for.
It stands for the Video Home System.
Video Home System,
yeah,
of
that's
course.
what that
All right.
stands for, yeah.
And you still use it? You got a little troll doll there?
They so
You
I
got to
think
put a Shuttle Fest sticker on it when you leave, right?
so. What we got here is this was the second video recorder that I got. They call it my Challenger video recorder, but I got it because what happened was our house got broken into and I lost the first one, so I had to get I struggled to get another one. I managed to get it within days of Voyager encountering Uranus and recorded that. And then I got the pictures of the Challenger astronauts, Krista being interviewed, arriving, and of course, tragically, and then I lost that again. Our house got done a second time. And eventually, by the return of flight, I managed to get another video for SDS-26, and that I didn't have these. So this was when the commercial crew program started. There was a long gap of 11 years, almost, I think, after the end of the shuttle. I decided I'm going to go back and do this on VHS. So I started just for the fun of it, recording, and it's easy to get blank tapes on eBay. I can get new old stock, even though they're 20 years old, and there's lots of it, and it's cheap. And but during the COVID pandemic, the lockdown, this is how I found Mark, and I found Stay Curious, and I've been watching it ever since. But one night during we were all furloughed, so I couldn't go to my work. Somebody on eBay was selling the instruction manual for my video recorder of '86. And I got this mad idea, why can't I try? I'd love to get this again, and then maybe I could record Artemis on it, It took about 3 years trying. You're looking at something that's about 35 years old. It was manufactured in '85, trying to get one that works, And I think I spent about £300 buying machines, and I got one, and they said it doesn't take a tape. And I saw it's just young people that don't know how to use a VHS machine. And it worked. And I thought, I was in tears. This is amazing. But unfortunately, there was a problem with the sound when there's any music. And I got some of the vintage, because you can't get these things fixed now, but I got one of the vintage TV guys, and I'm very interested in TV history. And he restored it for me, and they fixed it. They put new belts in it. And this is the third year of the operation, and you can see the little trawl that's on the top. And I got this as my launch mascot, and some of you might recognize who's got this, because it's one of the two that Gene Wright has. And I got to meet Gene at the Space Center in 2019.
Gene's Wright,
yeah, his little sister, yeah.
Mascot on.
And I said, I love this, so I'm going to try and get this. And it took about 6 months. I got it on Etsy, it's like eBay, and it's from Salted State. Right. So he's on the trawl there on the video.
Gene Wright, the So sister.
Yeah. So hello, Gene, if you're watching, and Ken, yeah. And if you can see the red, what I loved about this VCR is one of the early top front loaders, because my original one, that was the old piano key and the tape popped out the top, if you might remember. So you can see the red light is on, because in that photograph is, I was recording a space event live.
All right.
Yeah.
There's an Android VCRs out there.
It's got an Android box and an analog to digital converter.
We have one or two. I have a couple that work to look at some old tapes and stuff like that and see what's on them there. Briefly,
we're going
to get into shuttle.
So this is the Mills Observatory in Dundee, where I work. It's a public observatory. It's on Balgate Hill. We're about 850 feet above sea level. It's the best observatory in Scotland because of the location. I do the public observing along with Stuart, who I work with. He works the nights when I'm not working.
And watch Stay Curious in that building.
Yeah, and so cool. Sometimes it's very cloudy.
What's this telescope? And
we can't use it. We can watch Stay Curious. So this is the 10-inch Cook telescope. It's actually a lot older than the observatory. It was made in 1871. And it was used by Walter Goodacre, one of the founding members of the British Astronomical Association, to map the moon. In 1910, he made a very good map of the moon. I was very honoured to get Dave Scott. We heard he was coming to Dundee, of Apollo 15, and we invited him up. So this is the actual telescope we use. This is for the public viewing. It's a wee bit more powerful. It's bigger. It's a 16-inch or 400 millimeter Dobson telescope.
That's a big
telescope. And so, for instance, when you look at on a good night without the moon, when you look at the Ring Nebula and Lyra, you can actually detect some of the colour in it. That's how good it is.
Love that.
It gives amazing views of the Orion Nebula and the planets. And basically, when we are viewing seasons October to March, And so this winter's been the best in the 22 years I've been working in the observatory.
No, that's a.
So this
Yeah,
is
there's
great
your-
for Shuttlefest. If you go back to, well, one of the things we did at Shuttlefest was we had the documentary film about the Jerry Carr.
Yes.
And I actually got to meet Jerry the last time I was here. That's what that picture was. You've got a picture there, Matt.
I do. I wanted to set that up first here with
Right.
that we had the movie with Jerry
Yeah,
Carr.
yeah, right.
I wanted to just mention that Dwight he picked up a multi-system PAL, CCOM, NTSC, all this VHS machine at a local flea market for €12. I used to transfer Joshua Carr's only surviving VHS tape of the Go Show from 1974 and digitize it for him. And it featured the Carr family and John Carr during the mission. And he said there's something else in the chat there. But there's the late Jerry Carr
Yep.
with you. And we, thanks to Bill Munch and his production team, filmmaker Bill Munch and Mitch Rothman, provided us this at the Shuttle Fest Saturday night.
Yeah.
And everybody got to see it, went over well. Jerry Carr was the astronaut, his artist wife, Pat, Pat's last name, Music, I want to
Music,
say.
yeah,
Pat
that's it,
Music,
yeah, Pat Music,
an
yeah.
artist. They were there, each of them, their second marriage. She grew up in the 60s like he did, but she was involved with the, I met Jerry also. Marty's got a question.
Yeah, Mitch Rothman's asking, Robert, have you ever met Dave Shaler?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I have. Yeah, I met him. Yeah, I did. I think I met him Autographica when there was an event with the Apollo astronauts, and I bought some of his books. And
Yeah,
Dave's
we
excellent
did.
space historian over in the UK. Yeah.
We did a Zoom with him
Uh-huh.
about a couple years ago, and with Mikey Haddad. He helped Mikey Haddad write his book.
Yeah.
Yes, Shaler, a very good guy. He's written a lot of books. He's always working on a book on there. So, The Artist and the Astronaut. We'll be selling that DVD here at the museum. We'll promote it a little bit more next week and tell you where you can buy it if you didn't get it at Shuttlefest. So. There's you are with Jerry Carr, though, looking both of, God bless him. He lived to be about 89 years old.
Yeah.
And there you are at the Space Center under the Hubble telescope there a few years ago. And did you get a trip out to the Space Center?
Yeah, yep. I was out there yesterday. I was out all day yesterday, and that's the first time I've seen the Gateway Centre because that didn't exist in 2019. And then I got one of the highlights was the New Shepard capsule. They've got a new ship, and you can actually go inside it, and you fly a simulated flight in New Shepard. And it's like virtual reality goggles.
Yeah,
you
there's
put
a big
on,
line for it.
and
You
you're
did
actually, you're actually lying in the seat. You've done
Yeah,
that,
you
Mark.
gotta
It's
respect.
brilliant.
Cool.
You know, it was really, and I took the bus trip out to the Saturn V Centre. You know, and that's the first time I've seen the lunar module on the ground because the last time it was hanging up overhead.
Dwight,
you know.
by the way, he's got did an excellent documentary on Skylab, the definitive Skylab. He was here with his wife Alexandria last November. We had Jack Lausma and Rusty Schweikert autographing that. So we'll get up with you, Dwight. Thanks for the connection there. And it's excellent on there. So segue into Shuttlefest with the great piece of artwork that Chris Callie did. This montage has got a lot of little stuff here on the bottom going on down there, and Eileen really loved it. Signed a bunch of copies. Will be available for sale through our museum. Some of them there. So, but let's look at the back here. There's Lloyd and Chris Callie yesterday in our studio here. Of course, wanting to know why in the world aren't you watching Stay Curious? Of course, you're watching it today. But Lloyd Franklin thank you so much for your support of our museum. And Lloyd is one of these that goes to a lot of different
Yeah.
things around the country, like Chris, and he was very impressed with our Shuttle Fest. And Lloyd and Chris already got the meeting with the Cocoa Beach Hilton for Thursday lined up. So we'll be moving it there, I'm sure. Got to give a big shout out to the lady on the left, Connie McDaniel, just such a faithful volunteer of our museum, spent a lot of her own money putting gift bags, kids' gift bags out here. There's Eileen in the background. Joseph Adams is in the shirt there. Joseph has been around, though he doesn't look it, for about 25 years. And Matthew Raj, the tall gentleman there, did such a fabulous job on all of our badges and posters. And then, of course, Carlton Bailey there, listening to Connie, and we all listen to Connie, except me because I'm hard of hearing. But thank you, Connie. We love you, everybody here, for what you've done at this museum. And she ran the whole front end of it up there, taking in your money. There's in fact, there's Eileen getting in her bag there to get some money to give her. She bought 2 of the silent auction
Yeah,
items
she
there.
got 2 of the
So,
books.
but Connie, Matthew, and Joseph in the background, just thank you so much. We will have some big party for you all guys, or at least buy a meal for you. Of course, Tommy UCX in the corner there. Thank you, Carlton, for all your photos you took. He was on a panel there that went over really well. He had a lot of insight into the clean room and so forth of Hubble in the pictures made there. There is our finance treasurer, Bonnie King on the left with Eileen, and that is Sandy Mickelson on the right. She has financially supported us with her organization, her personal money, but she is part of Zonta, and Zonta is an organization that champions the rights of women and the sexual trafficking and date rape and those type of things. They're all trying to help prevent on there. So big photo there with Eileen. And we've got, there's on the left, of course, is Bruce McCandless III with Space Hipster #1,
That's Emily.
Emily Carney there. They were signing books and signed a bunch of us to sell to you later on there. They had a big time. And we celebrated Emily by providing everyone with a Space Hipsters button. She's on our board of directors. Horrible picture of me, but everybody else looks pretty good there. Beside me is Joe Tanner, Eileen, Don Thomas, launch director Bob Seek with Mike Leinbach. Between them, they launched 80, almost 90 of the shuttles. Jonathan Ward and Nick Thomas on the end there. Author Jonathan Ward, he enjoyed, that was a hell of a panel with the 3 of them talking about their book there. We didn't know exactly how that'd work out, but it worked out great. And Bob Seek is such a legend, just not a launch director. He and Jay Honeycutt and a handful of other people shaped the future of the shuttle after Challenger on there. What can you say about Don Thomas wearing his Gene Wright woodpecker shirt there? He was just a blast.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
Don was brilliant. Right?
Yeah. What I loved about him was
I
in
think
here.
he's
We'll
behind
see
him.
him here in a minute. There is John Grunsfeld left Sunday morning, didn't hang around for the Sunday talks. He had to do something else, and there he is with his spacewalking companion. They didn't spacewalk together, but Joe Tanner, and that is Keith Tyler. And Keith was 92 years old, a propulsions guy on Apollo. And Keith and your daughter Karen, it was so great to see you there. What a great picture of them, right? Marty, you got a question?
Yeah, Dean Babcock is asking, who was the other lady that was helping Connie? She was very friendly.
That was Julie Clay, who's watching today, I believe. And I got a picture of Julie here to show you everybody. Can't leave everybody out. We have 4 employees and about 7 volunteers pulled this off. Okay, So we're rallying the shuttle fester troops, okay, for next year there. Both these, all the astronauts, just unbelievable. They're so gracious with their time. I'm not sure I could sit there and autograph like that, Marty. They're used to it, but it was pretty amazing. There's Julie Clay with all the beautiful artwork of Chris Calley there. Thank you so much, Julie, for your helping us. Julie and Connie were responsible for scraping down the wall, I should say, of our Cape Canaveral gallery that we've done a reno on. That I need to post a lot of pictures of that. Thank you, ladies, again so much for your work. They outwork the men, I think. Of course, Connie will always outwork a man.
Yes.
But she's a lady. It's just she just likes to be the cleanup crew. And there's myself with Larry McNally and Ken Havicott, both awesome collectors. Larry, thank you for your financial support in getting us in the museum there. It was just mega. And Friday night at the museum, many people have told me the $90 for this conference Friday night was worth the $90.
Yeah, always worth every cent of it, Mark.
It was pretty mega, wasn't it? And there's Mikey Haddad. God bless you, my Ohio brother, born in Cleveland also, with another Cleveland native, Don Thomas. Don was just so much fun. The woodpecker on STS-70 was his theme, and the Ohio astronauts of all of them, but the commander, they made an official Ohio resident. But when Don was showing the video of this woodpecker just hitting this external tank, and he said NASA has 100 hours of this woodpecker poking holes in this tank until it got to the layer of the metal of the tank, and then it went to another one. Okay,
I remember that
and
one,
he said, let that soak in. 100 hours of this woodpecker destroying the ET tank. And I think, Gary, you told me, or someone told me, that it was over the weekend, and nobody was working over the weekend with authority to say, go out there and get rid of that woodpecker. And of course, if you'd shot it with a BB pellet or something, you'd probably still be doing time.
It would have been difficult to shoot him with all the hardware it's around it. So, yeah, it would have been difficult to shoot him.
But
with
they
a BB.
watched it for 100 hours and did nothing as it poked over 20 holes in
That's
there.
the guys in the firing room. I wasn't in there.
John Thomas got his point across.
I wouldn't want to try and shoot it in case I missed it at the tank.
Now we had the hornets came back later. That was a real problem we had in there because they were
The what?
hornets that were getting.
Oh,
into,
hornets.
Yeah, they had our yellow jackets. They got into the room and they were stinging.
What room?
In the payload changeout room.
Oh.
We did this for about 2 or 3 flights before they actually figured out how to get rid of them. But they would come in and sting those guys, and they have a powerful sting. A yellow jacket does.
Yeah.
And they had to learn to turn off the lights out there, and then put some bird out there call that would also chase them away.
Huh. Yeah, that was amazing. The after things, you can't make up the meetings they had. They had a bird group that I forget the acronym for that. But I don't have to remember, because everything about Shuttlefest is on our YouTube American Space Museum channel. And though I've not had time to review or look at it, thank you, Bruce Jacobs, our IT guy, for jumping on that right away. So you can watch all of Shuttlefest. Might be a few hiccups in there, except Jay Honeycutt's human spaceflight, which we are protecting that intellectual property because Jay wants us to make money here at the museum with that. Thank you so much, Mr. Honeycutt, former center director, and again, a man who's so much more, as he was on the Sims manager on Apollo, and then led the reconstruction of the whole business end of the shuttle after Challenger. And we got another couple more pictures here before we say goodbye. There you are, Robert, and Carlton, you're in the background there, talking to Eileen. You are in full kilt. Okay, here. Why don't you stand up there while we're there at that, to show
Get away.
you have been fully kilted your whole trip here. Okay, quite beautiful there. No, it's got to step back to see it, brother. Yeah, there you go. There you go. There's his attire there. Now, what actually do you call this? It's just
Well,
it's
that,
not a,
that's the sporran, and that's
the
what
spalling?
the sporran.
Okay.
Sporran. So
Okay.
that's how you keep your wallet and your stuff,
Uh-huh.
your keys and all that, you know.
Now, of course,
So I mean, but more people know me. I wear kilts most of the time, you know,
excellent.
because I'm very interested in Scottish heritage, and this is the McLaren tartan, which
McLaren.
McLaren tartan, which
Oh,
is,
but it's not orange papaya like the
no,
McLaren
no,
Prep
no.
1 that Connie
so,
loves so much.
So this is my family. My name is Law. And the laws were a sept of the McLarens. There isn't a law tartan.
So each kilt, so
uh,
men walking around or and women with this pattern on, you would know
you have your
what
own
family you're
patterns,
from.
yeah. But it's also a district. You can get a district pattern. You know, like we've got a Paisley kilt. You know,
Paisley
yeah,
kilts.
you have
That's for me.
cities, football teams. There's a Rangers kilt you can get. You know, so there's the St Mirren one. So we got all different tartans, you know, and I just love my heritage.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And
Thanks.
he's got good looking legs too.
Yes.
Okay, on there. And let's see. Yeah, Dean Babcock says Friday was amazing. Mark Bell happened to bring Mike Massimino's book on the plane. Enjoyed the talks of the Hubble servicing missions. Dean Babcock. He was amazed that Eileen had a voice on Sunday, and I thought I would have to. I told her I'm willing to shorten your talk. We had 90 minutes budgeted. You know, I understand. You know, and because I went around to people, Marty, and I said, "Have you talked to Eileen at this conference?" They go, "Oh my gosh, she's talked to all of us right there. Everyone She had one-on-one, I probably with everybody at that conference, so I didn't feel bad if she couldn't talk, but her voice was a whisper, and she was very good on there. You would be wearing a Rangers kilt, that's for sure," said Raldo Kinghead, a vicious pilgrim. You know Raldo Kinghead?
Never heard of him.
Raldo Kinghead there. Anyway,
Right, if I was wearing a football tartan, it wouldn't be right. It would have to be St Mirren.
yeah.
Of
Of course, that's soccer over there.
Yeah.
It's football is.
It's football in
you get to
Scotland.
throw the ball
Football, but in here that you call it soccer. Yeah.
And Elena Adhara, she says she loves Robert Law. She got all kinds of good things for you. And Mark Thel says, "See you next year at Shuttlefest, Dwight." Awesome. Dwight, you and your wife come. We'll carve out some time for you guys, definitely. And sell the rest of those fabulous Skylab DVDs that they have. It's just such the definitive thing. And, you know, sitting around talking to people at different eateries and so forth, everybody's approaching me. "Mark, I know Jeff Hoffman, astronaut at MIT. He'd love to come. All right. Mike Massimino's, I know him. I think Mike Massimino might want some money to come, but we're not going to pay astronauts to come. This is a nonprofit, and we'll take care of their expenses and incidentals. But astronauts know that nonprofits need their help, and certainly we've gotten a lot of attention from these four. We'll be telling their 5 or 6 astronaut friends, and I may have a big problem who to pick and so forth. But that's a pleasant problem to have. So let's look at another picture here. Threw in there the beautiful artwork. We didn't talk a lot about that. There is Ron Woods. He is a watercolors expert. In the foreground is Doug Forrest, and his wife Tamiko are on a jet plane heading back to LA. You know, we talk about him every day. Look at what he did with tiles, all right, in pencil, or pen and ink, maybe, on these tiles. I said, "Gee, why didn't you sell that?" He goes, "Because I got a big price on it, and I haven't made a replica yet of it to go on there." And of course, we showed some of Chris Callie's artwork there. Dwight says, "I must apologize for not being available the last few weeks. He's had a bit of personal stuff going on. and he knows that. And Peter Waters says, "Let's go Dundee."
Yes.
All right, and I think there's a heart underneath this icon that I can't always read the last word, Marty, on there. So, and let's see here. Oh, yes. We couldn't not talk today. We won't talk tomorrow without mentioning the Usiak brothers and the plaque that we were allowed to create. The 5th floor launch viewing room at the Hyatt Place Hotel, Titusville, is now called the Tom and Mark Usiak Launch Viewing Gallery.
Very good.
And there's Bharat Ramanujan, his mother and father, Mal and Rama, financed several of our astronauts to come here. Thank you so much. They enjoyed it. And of course, Mitch Rothman, his contributions, helped also bring another astronaut here, and his wife, Paula. They're just great space people. Manned space flight. Manned space is his Facebook page that we want y'all to check out there. Marty, go ahead.
Yeah, Dean Babcock is asking, will Shuttlefest 5 be in April next year?
Yes, Shuttlefest 5 will always center around the April 12th date of STS-1, except we get to Shuttlefest 7 or 8, that's Easter weekend, and we will have to figure out, are we going to do it before or after Easter? Of course, this is Easter weekend now. We did it over Palm Sunday and Jewish holiday, and though we can't say that we're not going to do that, we have to say that, we're gonna abide by some of the holidays there. Let's face it, we're Americans. A lot of Americans are Christian. We would have a hard time pulling off, and I don't want the blowback for doing a Shuttlefest over Easter Sunday. So, and Steve says that's their wedding anniversary. Okay, isn't that cool, Dwight? For Tom and John, or Tom and what's his other name, Marky, to be up there.
Somebody's asking if
that was really cool. Someone's asking, will Shuttlefest 5 be in April next year? Yes.
Somebody's asking if I'm.
Robert, are you hoping to attend next year?
Well, I'll need to see. I'd like to attend next year. Not sure, but it depends. It does cost a lot of money to come out here. I think we're thinking about coming out, like it's normally January I would come out because I don't like the heat, But yeah, I probably would. I'm waiting for Mark to publish all the details and that. We'll make a decision about that.
Pat, take a collection at your observatory there for you to come here.
So
You're a great
I'll
addition. Everybody wanted to meet you.
Yeah.
Yes, it was just a fabulous time there. So I'm going to end with one last slide. You got anything to say, Gary?
No, I just enjoyed the Saddle Fest and hope to see everybody there next year.
Well, we always enjoyed Gary being on our show. He'll be on Thursday and talk about some Apollo 13 things that I guarantee you've never thought of or saw on there. Our green screen here, Scotland way, this is Ireland over here. Scotland way up there, right, my friend? That's right there, the United Kingdom there. And one final image here for you all watching today is what happens when the lights go out. And you got to, and the wait staff wants to go home after a long Sunday, and these shuttle festers are at Zorella's. This is Zorella's. We've talked about it a lot. You've seen a lot of pictures of close-ups of people. This is my photojournalism twist on Zorella's here with a great crew. I've had about 17 people there, and that's Tom Usiak and Steve. I've not seen Steve pop up today. Maybe he was flying today. So, and thank you all. Is there a better combination than M brew and a square sausage piece? Raldo Keg Cake is asking you. He said, "Is there a better combination than?"
Yeah, I love Iron Brew. I tried to get Charlie Duke to Airdrie when we give Charlie, but I don't think he liked that.
And a square sausage piece,
a square sausage. I actually had that at Glasgow Airport for my breakfast, part of my breakfast on the way here.
A little tea cake, too, on the side there.
That's a turnips tea cake. That's famous.
Well, in
yeah.
your accent there, why don't you say goodbye to everybody there, if you can figure it out there
Right.
that watched the show today, and thanking.
Yeah, well, thank you everybody watching. We've got Cliff Watson, I think that's over in Australia, Dave Strange, Stangy, sorry,
Yeah.
Julie Clay, Mitch Rothman, Bob Marianne. I'm just kind of dyslexic, so
Sure.
sometimes I get apologies if I get the pronunciations wrong. Dean Van Babcock, Carlton Bailey. It's a fantastic meeting Carlton. Mark Thel, and of course meeting Tom Usiak as well. Michael Bruno, Elena
Adakara.
sorry.
Dwight
Dwight, oh sorry, Dwight Stephen Borensky.
Benecki.
Sorry. Yeah.
And I'm even probably murdering it, but
Gary Jano.
Gary Gerald's our farmer up there in Collins, Georgia.
Yeah, Raldo Keghead and Peter Waters. So I'm sorry if I got your names mixed up. Yeah.
That's why I had you say it, because I don't mix
I'm
them up.
not-
No. Loved having you here. Quite
So
a
it's been
pleasure.
dream
We've been
come
waiting for
true.
this.
Mark,
and-
I've been wanting to come back for 6 years, and at times I thought I'd never be able to manage it, but I finally got back here, and I hope now that I can start trying to think about coming back maybe once a year. I don't see.
Excellent. We know it's expensive.
Yeah.
Is it like $5,000 expensive or
Yes.
like $2,000?
Well, this time it wasn't as much as 5,000, but it was over £1,000. Yeah, I mean before COVID on my last flight it was £300. On this flight it was 920. There's a lot of rip-off taxis.
Well, I'm going to do something I've never done, I don't think. Let me take a selfie of us there. I see you, Gary, there.
Yeah.
Take a selfie. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bing. All right.
Yeah.
Bingo there. So, Marty, any other questions over there? Comments?
Nope, no more questions.
All right. Well, I'm going to go soak my head in a bucket and get straightened out for a while here. But we appreciate everybody watching today and chiming in. We will do a pretty much 25-minute show tomorrow showing you pictures of Shuttle Fest. It was just everything we dreamed it could be.
Yeah, that
is
was
the
fantastic.
fruition.
Yeah, it really was.
And working hard with Chris Calley.
Yeah.
Connie McDaniel's been at every one of these. Connie's
Yeah.
so valuable to our team here, and we love her to death. And then all the new people we picked up this year is just we've all found our lane. Marty's going to be the co-chair next year. Got him already. He's going to keep me in line by keeping the meetings going. We got one scheduled for Monday, Zoom meeting to do a follow-up, and I'll probably have a contract ready to sign Monday for the Cocoa Beach Hilton. Their room rates are around about the same as the Hyatt Place, in the 230s to 250s regularly. But the beach, Atlantic Ocean's right behind them. They got a big tiki bar,
Yeah, it's stunning,
and
yeah.
the amenities of a 3-star hotel. The Hilton is officially there. So, guys, I know you're happy to hear that I'm working on that already. So,
And they have good food also.
who?
Good food at the Hilton.
Oh,
Yes, good food at the Hilton, all kinds of places. Yeah, this is going to be our home probably until we move it to the Westin that they're building. We'll work a deal with them. So, everybody, thank you so much. Robert Law,
Yeah.
what have you got to say to everybody going out?
Well, yeah, I'd just like to say hello to all my friends in the UK. I'd like to say hello to everybody at Airdrie and to the Astronomical Society of Glasgow. And a special mention to all my friends in the Inverclyde Stargazers and to Marion. And I hope to get back down there to see you guys soon. I'm going to Airdrie next. I'm going out there. It's been a while, but I think the aliens having a Uris night, so I'll be there next week.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Robert, for being here.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know you'll be watching us. When you going back?
I'm going back
Thursday.
on
Yeah,
Thursday.
you said
yeah.
Thursday. So maybe you'll be watching Friday, maybe not.
Yeah,
but,
I will be able to watch on Friday. Yeah, I'll come
Right.
into the Space Museum for a while tomorrow afternoon, and then I'm going back back home.
I know you enjoyed it, and Gary, thank you so much. We're
Okay.
looking forward to Thursday. Probably be your final program for a
yeah,
while.
because we'll be leaving Monday.
And he goes up to Georgia. He summers in Georgia. Okay, so which is a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, let's do our out together here. You know what I'd like to
Right.
say. We're grateful for everybody watching today and contributing to us. If you weren't at Shuttle Fest, don't feel so bad. We're gonna keep it going and going. Save your money for it. It'll be very worth it, won't it, guys?
Yep.
So until tomorrow when we recap Shuttle Fest, I'm Mark Marquette saying thank you for watching. We'll see you again to what? To bridge the space between us.